Welcome. You are about to take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition show. For the next hour, allow her to prepare you in becoming a magnet for a profound love-infused relationship by identifying and focusing on solutions through love. Awaken the light within and let your essence shine. And now, here's Deborah Beauvais on Love by Intuition, all part of the Dream Vision 7 radio network.
Welcome, everyone. Bonjour, mes amis. And yes, here I am, Deborah Beauvais, founder and owner of the Dream Vision 7 radio network. If you're tuning in for the first time, we are a Boston-based syndicated full service. We produce our live shows, all of what you usually have with a terrestrial station, we have with an internet station. And we are on 50-plus podcast directory, so you can listen to us on your favorite platform. And we are live. And anyone that would like to call in, we are giving, or should I say our guest, Sherianna Boyle, is giving away 5 of her audio books, and she's going to share that in a second. And Sherianna is author and founder of the Emotional Detox Coaching, creator of the Cleanse Method. She is author of 10 books, I believe it is now, and growing. And her latest book, which is what we'll be discussing today, is Energy in Action, the Power of Emotions and Intuition to Cultivate Peace and Freedom. It's just been released May 2nd, and it is published by Sounds True, which is exciting. And I want to ask Sherianna about an experience she felt when she was a young girl, and it came to be now. One other thing that I want to put in there now, and we'll remind you later on in the show, Sherianna has her own show, her own podcast, Just Ask Spirit. And it's on the syndicated Dream Vision 7 radio, Mondays 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. Eastern Time. So don't miss that. And she also works part-time as a professor of psychology. She teaches yoga, and she's a regular contributor to Spirituality and Health magazine. You can find her at SheriannaBoyle.com. I'll spell that later on. Welcome to the show, Sherianna.
Oh, thank you so much for having me. So fun to be here with you, Deborah.
I know. It is fun because, I know your soul. I feel you. And so here we are at a different place. We've had you on the show I think eons ago, but it's different this time. It feels different. So first of all, share what you're giving away and the code and what you want them to know now, today, on May 9th.
Sure. There's Energy in Action, and the subtitle is The Power of Emotions and Intuition to Cultivate Peace and Freedom. So the book is in audio format as well as in print. And this has been a real privilege, Deborah. It's the first time I have narrated my own book.
Oh, wow. Good for you.
First time ever, which I've been really, really dying to be that person. So you will hear my voice in the audio, so it's a special one for me. And I have 5 audiobooks to give away. And so what I think we're going to do is if you call into the show, whether you want to be on the air or not, but if you get through the airway, then you just leave your name, and the first 5 people that call will receive a code, and you go to the publisher is called Sounds True, SoundsTrue.com, and that's where you'll purchase the book with that specific code that will give you the book for free of the audio version.
Should we be giving that code out now?
Well, the thing is I think it's supposed to, I don't know, then everybody has the code. I feel like.
Right, it's posted on social media. It probably is.
Okay.
Yes, it probably is best because as we go along with the show, it replays and then it archives. Maybe those that do not have the code will just leave their name and number and say they are one of the 5. How's that sound?
It's only one. There's only 10. Well, let's see, 5 uses of that code. So
correct. So for the first 5 people.
Gotcha. Yeah. Okay.
Yes. Okay. All right. That sounds good. And Bob is in the house. Our number here is 833-220-1200. Again, 833-220-1200. And call in, and you'll be the first 5. Remember, if you don't have the code, leave your name and phone number, and you'll qualify even if you don't have the code. But again, it's the first 5. So let's get into the show, Sherianna. The first thing I want to ask you is, tell us why you wrote this book.
That's a good question. Well, there's a lot of reasons why I wrote this book, and one is it was just a natural maturity. So I've mentioned before that I've written many books on emotional detox, and I developed a method called Cleanse, which is the 7 steps of an emotional detox. And energy in action is really an evolution from those books, because what I've done is I've upgraded the Cleanse system so that it now helps us to align with the spiritual laws of the universe. So why did I write it? Well, I feel like stress levels are pretty high for people, and there's a lot of influences. There's a lot of people that are really struggling with even basic techniques, even still finding that it's not holding them. So, for example, maybe self-care techniques or sometimes even mindfulness techniques, they might be feeling like, yeah, I do my little things here and there, but it doesn't seem to be making too much of a difference in my life. So I started to, as I was working with the cleanse, which I cleanse every single day. It's, again, the 7 steps of an emotional detox. There was just a day, Deborah, where I'm going through the motions, I'm processing my emotions, and I just start to hear, okay, here's the next thing. Now you're going to start to tweak this system and add this on. So it's almost like, I didn't know it at the time, it's almost like I've been kind of piecemealing this together. The system, the structure is the same in terms of the 7 steps, but it was almost like I was being guided. Okay, now you're going to add this. And so what's added in there is some real high vibrational energy healing kinds of tools. And they effortlessly add in. It's not going to be like this, oh, I have to learn a whole new system if you're someone who read my emotional detox books. But you're going to automatically feel the difference, because in the chapters in the book, I cover the spiritual laws, which remind us that we're spiritual beings first. We have infinite possibilities. We have infinite energy and abundance. And when we move away from that, we suffer. So energy in action is about helping us to connect with that again.
Absolutely. I'm sensing that you're receiving these messages because you're ready. You've gone along your journey, your spiritual journey, opening up, opening your heart, and, transforming and evolving. And so now you're ready to receive this information, and you totally understand it, and you're feeling it, and so you want to, your work is to put it out to the masses, to the collective consciousness, so that it will be felt by many instead of just a few. So, would you agree that you were ready for this?
I would. I do, because now that the book is written and it's out there, and people are starting to get to know it. I'm almost kind of moving on and starting to get even more information. So it feels like a stepping stone for me, teaching it, and now I'm starting to get even different kinds of messages. So, yeah, I guess you could put it that way for sure. And I know, Deborah, I don't know if you feel like this. You've been doing this for so long. You've been in this writing and all of that. And with this book, this is my 10th one. And I didn't want it to be like the others. Meaning there is like a bit of a treadmill kind of feel to this industry, and like a lot of other industries, meaning, okay, you got to write a book, and then you got to do this, and it is like, right. I really want to create something that helps us all to get off this treadmill of doing and trusting the energy in action. And I really, I've really taken my foot off the gas pedal. I mean, there's times where I can feel that old coming in, like, okay, what are you doing? Okay. But then I back off and say, no. You've got to trust that this system that you've built and that you practice and you're learning, that the energy is enough. And sometimes, we get into that space, because this is a book about manifesting. We get into that space where we're like, well, I don't see it. Nothing's happening. It's not working. And automatically you're like, now what? It's like, no, there's no now what. Right? And I don't know how you feel about that, Deborah, but that's energy and action for me. Is like, no, it's redefining action. And action doesn't, we're so conditioned. It's what do I do now, or what am I not doing enough of? And I feel like that is holding us back so much when it comes to manifesting.
Right. And the whole trick of it, or to be in the space of seeing what you used to do and making a choice that you're going to react or do things differently. And you can almost, when you make that choice and you're in a situation and you decide to react differently, it's tangible. You can feel it, and then you're like, oh, this is how it feels. And like you said earlier, sometimes because we are human, and you're in the stuff, you can, fall back and kind of get into that old groove. But then you come to a place and you say, well, you know what? I don't like this anymore. I'm really over here now. And so you go back, and now it's easier as you go on. It's interesting.
It is
world.
An interesting evolution, and I
life.
Appreciate you. Yeah, I always appreciate your wisdom, Deborah. You're such a pillar for the radio network, for all of us.
Oh, geez, thank you. But I'm I'm just regular old me.
Well, I appreciate that about you, and I wouldn't stick around if you weren't. That sounds horrible, but you do. You have this stability about you. But what's interesting is as I'm moving and as I'm really getting into this energy and action thing, I'm realizing that I don't need to see it anymore in terms of results, that there is great satisfaction and comfort and anchoring and knowing it. So there's a difference between seeing it and I know it. Right.
And that's the key, is getting to a place of knowing. It reminds me of, I'm sure you've read his book, Eckhart Tolle, The Power of Now. He was in a second floor apartment or something, and he was down to his last $1,000, and he just decided to, instead of being in the control and all that we usually are, he just decided to trust, and that's when his book just blew up. And through your whole book, that's really what it's about, is being aware of being connected. In one area, you talk about the rays of light, that we are the rays of light. We don't have to look on the outside, connect with those rays of light. We are. They're in us. God is with it. The source, whatever. We're all part of that. It's not outside of us. So that trust in what you're speaking of the knowing, and then you just kind of watch it. You're still doing all the work, but you're doing it from a different perspective, I believe.
Absolutely.
So yes.
Go ahead.
So I wanted to, if you could share. I'm sorry, what?
I was going to say, go ahead, Deborah. Go ahead, do your thing.
I'm sorry. I wanted you to share with the listeners what happened when you were waiting with your mom for Sounds True magazine, and then jump to where you are now, and your book is published by Sounds True. So tell us a little bit about that feeling, because everything about your book is feeling and manifestation.
Yeah, so it was interesting. So again, it's my 10th book. All the other books have been published by other publishers, wonderful publishers. And this one got picked up by Sounds True, which means a lot to me. I talk about it in the book because when I was a young girl, I think I must have been in probably early high school, late middle school kind of thing. And I remember Sounds True used to have catalogs. Now we don't get the catalogs. I miss catalogs. I know it's better for the environment, but I do love catalogs. So
I agree.
The catalog would come in the mail. My mother and I would get the mail, and we would sit down and we would open it up, and I would just feel it in my body. I would get so excited about these authors, and I really looked at them like celebrities, which of course even today now someone like Eckhart Tolle I look at as almost like a celebrity. And I was and back then it was Wayne Dyer and Carolyn Mize, and you had all these, and Carolyn Mize is still part of Sounds True. And I just remember feeling like, oh my gosh, like it just, maybe perhaps it's the way somebody, when they see some musician or something, it just gave me like butterflies in my stomach. No idea that I was ever going to become a writer. I was an okay student, and didn't really write. I wrote a lot of sad stories when I was a kid. I would write short stories. They were very, very sad. Probably just the way I felt, was expressing my feelings. No idea. But then fast forward, here we are, and I'm a lot older, and here we are. My book was published by Sounds True, so it feels like full circle to me. There have been other moments in my life as well where maybe I've been watching a TV program and there's an author on there and they're talking about their book, and that same feeling that I had when I was a kid would come. Everything stops. Like if I'm cooking, I have to stop cooking, and I have to walk over to the TV and I have to sit down and I just absorb it, And I was just telling my daughter this story the other day because my girls are at the age where they're trying to kind of figure out their path. And these little things that happen to us, they are, and when you agree, Deborah, like these little signs and synchronies, when something kind of gives you that feeling like where everything stops, you're like, I got to look at this. I got to listen to this. I got to touch this. I got to read this. That's very connected to your purpose, I think.
I totally agree. And the key is, when you become more conscious of your emotions and feelings, because I feel that is so important in life, and here you wrote a book about it, is that, when you're in that space, you pay attention to all the signs. You're listening, you're paying attention because you're conscious of how you're feeling about things. Sometimes I think you can get over-emotional. Our family is one of them. The sisters were all quite emotional and not afraid to share But they do, when you're in touch with them like that, you know exactly what's going on, and it gives you the opportunity to work through them instead of running away from them. But we're going for a break in another minute. I would like to talk about the different types of manifesting the way normally we all do, from fear when we're not aware of another way. I'd love for you to address that when we come back. And also during the break, I'd love to have you go through a basic cleanse, not all at the same time when we come back, but just think about that for maybe the last segment. For everyone out there, we are on our break in another 30 seconds. I would love for everyone to feel comfortable to call in to the show. You can talk with Bob. He'll connect with you. All you do is give your name and number, and the first 5 people that do will receive Sherianna's beautiful, amazing, phenomenal energy and action, the power of emotions and intuition to cultivate peace and freedom. And it's so true. So we'll be back in a moment. 833-220-1200.
Experience a different yet profound healing with Reconnective Healing. Includes yet expands beyond any and all known forms of energy healing. The Reconnective Healing spectrum is comprised of the full healing and evolutionary continuum of energy, light, and information. It allows for healings that are not just physical, not just mental, not just emotional, yet go beyond that to bring healing that includes the evolution of your very being and essence. Deborah Beauvais, trained and certified by world-renowned Dr. Eric Pearl, offers appointment hours at Seekonk Family Chiropractic in Seekonk, Massachusetts. For questions or to set up both distance or local sessions, call Deborah at 508-431-1959. Again, 508-431-1959. Or go to lovebyintuition.com. That's lovebyintuition.com.
Hello, everyone. I am so excited to announce my new book, Energy in Action, The Power of Emotions and Intuition to Cultivate a Life of Peace and Freedom. Inside, you're going to find 13 spiritual laws and 52 high vibrational spiritual practices, all to help you manifest a life of peace, abundance, and true freedom. Head on over to SheriannaBoyle.com and grab your copy today.
Calling all authors. Have you been considering an audiobook? Well, look no further. Come take advantage of Dream Vision 7 Radio Network's unique in-house audiobook production, which includes benefits and bonuses from our radio station. Let our knowledgeable staff guide you to create the audiobook you've always dreamed of without breaking the bank. Check out our full one-stop service from A to Z, including the ACX process. Schedule a free consultation by calling 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or go to dreamvision7radio.com.
After narrowly surviving the attack on Sandy Hook Elementary, first-grade teacher Caitlin Royd DeVellis was left searching for answers that would never come. Eventually, she chose to focus on questions that could be answered. How do I make sure this tragedy doesn't define us? How do we get our control back? Those 2 questions led her to found the 501c3 nonprofit organization Classes for Classes. When gifts poured into their classroom, she decided they would help someone else by paying it forward and being kind. This developed into a social network which allows K-8 classrooms to connect so that every student in the United States can learn these crucial lessons. Classes for Classes' mission is to build students' social emotional intelligence by connecting them to care. All C4C projects are crowdfunded. Any teacher in the U.S. can visit classesforclasses.org. That's classes, the number 4, classes.org. Sign up today.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids Children's Book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
When you have a moment, and please do take a moment and go on our website, Dream Vision, so one word with an S on the end, the number 7radio.com. We really are coming from the heart, and every show, there's so many podcast shows, all there just for you, helping you, guiding you along your path, opening your heart so that you can feel compassion, doing the inner work that we all talk about. But listen to them because they're there for you and it's free to listen. And so I invite you over there and to check out what we're doing in the community for all kinds of different things, including authors or like you heard with the Sandy Hook. So we are with Sherianna Boyle. She is author, founder of Emotional Detox Coaching, creator of Cleanse Method. We're talking about the Energy in Action, her latest book that is just special to her. And SheriannaBoyle.com. I want you to go on that site. All her books are there. She has events. She has retreats. Sherianna is SHERIANNA, Boyle, BOYLE.com. So check it out. Sherianna, let's talk about why people are manifesting and yet things aren't coming to fruition. At least they feel like they're not. And what's the difference between what we all do? We have affirmations and all these things that we start off with manifesting. But things may not come to fruition, as mentioned, and yet here you have the cleanse and how we're feeling. So tell us more about that.
Yeah, so a lot of people, they might be in a state of what I call reactivity, right, where you're in a triggered state, you have a reaction, and what can happen sometimes is manifesting becomes like a way out, right, in terms of I don't like my situation, I don't like my job, I don't like my boyfriend, I don't like the way my life is going, I got to work on my manifesting, right? And it just becomes sort of like, how do I get out of my situation? How do I make this better kind of thing? And so what Energy in Action is about is, first of all, energy in action is how I define manifesting. And when I say energy in action, I'm talking about the movement of energy within you and around you. So when you have energy moving, as you know, Deborah, as you're an energy healer, we know that when vibration increases in the body, we start to feel calmer. Thoughts start to de-escalate. We get more space between our thoughts. And basically our triggered response starts to dissolve, and then we become more present in the moment. And as this occurs, you create sort of this inner space. And the message of Energy in Action is, let's not focus so much on what we want, and let's focus more on the quality of the inner space that we're creating from. And I can give you an example of how that works. So I had a client once that was in the dating world, right? And she was going on these dating sites and trying to make a match, and she's professional and this and that. So we have a session, and I'm like, how's it going? And she's like, I can't do this anymore. I can't do this app thing, and, you know, it's just not working out. So I said, okay, let's cleanse. That's where I start, and that's always my message. Feel first, then talk. And we've kind of done the opposite in this very often in the therapeutic world, although it's changing. We talk first and then maybe leave a tiny room for feeling. But I say feel first. So we go through those 7 steps of the cleanse. We start to allow her to process her emotions around this whole dating thing. And she's got a lot of reactivity. She's got a lot of judgment. She's got a lot of fear, a lot of anxiety. So we're not getting rid of emotions. What we're removing is reactivity, reactions, so that you can actually connect with your emotions. And then they start moving, and then the energy starts going into action. And we're using by the way, there's 52 cleanse practices in energy and action and manifesting practices. And we go through that, and at the end, we start to connect and talk. And the message that I received from her, and it was really from her feeling her feelings, she felt different from me. We both got some wisdom. And the message was, are you going on these sites when you're lonely, depressed, isolated? And the answer was yes. Mm-hmm. So she was actually going on. I said, no more. Unless you're upbeat, you're in a good mood, right? You're feeling pretty good, pretty grounded. That's when you're going to go look. You don't want to go looking at these sites when you're down in the dumps, because what are you going to see? You're going to see everything that's horrible about what you're seeing. So she had to shift it. And she's like, that makes so much sense. It's actually making me, it's like drinking alcohol when you're depressed. It's like, just bring me down a little bit more, right? So the point is, I had to sort of reverse her and say, listen, we don't want to be focusing on, okay, what guy do I want? What does this look like? Is it the right fit for me? We don't want to even go there if you're in a state of reactivity. We don't want to go there. You want to take a moment to cleanse, process your emotions, and then follow your intuition. And if your intuition feels like, I don't know, I'm feeling like I ought to do this, or maybe I ought to go, that's how manifesting works. It's a very organic, a very natural process.
Right. And it's energy.
It's energy.
Right. It's energy. Where thinking, as you say, thinking is reaction, but manifesting is energy. And you take it through the whole, yes. And I think where you add your senses, I know, when you're manifesting and you can feel it, you can see it, you can visualize I'm one who, you're on the Cape, and I'd love to have a place on the Cape. So I visualize, I see the seagulls, I smell the food, the fresh corn on the cob, things of that. So all of that makes a difference. But you make a very good point, is you don't want to start that when you're living in fear and afraid that something's going to happen when you walk down the street, or you're upset about someone in the family, or all the day-to-day minutia that we all live on this earth, around. You don't want to be in that space. So I think what you're sharing is excellent, because it's adding that we're not reacting with our thoughts. We are feeling and we are knowing that manifesting is energy, and we have to show up in a certain way before we start. So thank you.
But we don't. We don't want it to be an escape, right? We don't want to go off in dreamland because we're fantasizing on a different life without feeling anything. We don't want it to become a numbing device, right? Just another way we numb. And I did that. The reason I can say this, Deborah, is I used to do it.
I've done it too.
It's called
right, we've all done it.
Or overwork, or, however we do it to numb. And what I'm suggesting is be careful manifesting doesn't just turn into another way that we try to escape. We try to we try to take the shortcut. But there is no shortcut. There's no long cut. The laws tell us that. It just is. And when you process your emotions, you really start to line up with the law, harmonize with these spiritual laws, which tell us that, the law of relativity tells us, we just give things too much meaning. Too much meaning. It's all relative. It's all energy. And so when you learn each chapter, I talk about a law, and then each chapter includes cleanses that help you to understand how to line up. And I really feel like these laws are there as a guide system for how to move energy. And we are emotional beings, right? It's a huge part of the way we experience and learn and evolve and develop on this planet. And we want to embrace that.
Yes. So do we have time? Do you feel comfortable to do a basic cleanse? Not
Sure.
the ones that are in with the laws, but the basic one, to give people an idea of what it is that you have felt, created, received, and now it's energy in action.
Sure, yeah. So, and we can always go with I don't know if you have anyone interested in calling in. We can work that way, but I can give a basic overview. It's the C, so it's cleanse. It's an acronym. The C, which is clear reactivity. And clear reactivity means we have to work with your nervous system. So within the cleanse, there are many different tools for that. So the first step of the cleanse is to, one, tone your vagus nerve, because we know the vagus nerve is it's the largest nerve in the body, and it's connected to fight, flight, freeze response. It's also connected to trauma. And so there's very, very simple ways you can tone your vagus nerve every single day, and I give many variations of that with the different cleanses in there. So you're not going to be doing the same cleanse every time. Just want people to know that. You're going to use the same structure of cleanse, but there will be different variations of that cleanse. And so we always start by preparing the body, by vagal toning and just really getting that nervous system so you're not in that fight or flight. And then the L is called look inward, where you identify how you're feeling, but without re-traumatizing yourself. So I give tools and techniques to love people when they tell the stories of the past or the future, what was, what happened. They're re-traumatizing themselves, and that's not energy in action. That makes the energy collapse. Sometimes it weakens it. It makes it, sometimes it can actually make us feel sick. And when you look at the energy, you know, as an energy healer, it doesn't look good, right? But the good news is we can change that. So we want to learn how to identify our emotions without revisiting. And then the E is emit, which is mantra, which is sound, vibration. I wrote a book on mantras, so I knew a mantra was going to be in this cleanse. And then A is activate, which is now we're going to start to include the rays of light. So the rays of light are healing. They're godlike. So if you're wondering what are the rays of light, it's hard to even imagine, because on Earth we have one view of inner strength, and then when you hit these higher frequencies, inner strength has a whole new meaning, right? Like strength is so incredible. It's so vital. It's so vibrant. It's hard to even wrap your mind around it. So we're working with the rays of light. I teach people how to do that, and then so now we're in the N, which is nourish, and you continue to sink yourself into these rays of light. Let them nourish you. Let them replenish you, because a lot of the stress is just draining people. They're depleted. They're feeling exhausted. You know, we're not feeling well. We've got to take time to replenish our system, our spirit, our cells, everything. So the cleanse guides you how to do that. Now you're ready for the S, which is surrender. When you feel replenished, when you feel like you've gotten a big dose of source energy, you know, which those rays of light are those frequencies of unconditional love and transformation and abundance. When you take those frequencies in, you have no problem surrendering. And surrender doesn't mean giving up. It just means letting things really starting to trust, right? So surrender, and then we land in the E, which is ease, which is the I am space. Which I believe the I am space, the I am consciousness, ease is really that's where we get into that inner space that you want to manifest from. You want to land in the I am abundant. I am transformation. You want to feel it. You don't want it to just It's like someone saying, Deborah, I love you, Deborah, I love you. And you're like, I don't feel it. Right? Or they're just saying it. And you're like, yeah, whatever. Go tell somebody else that, right? And you're like, I don't know if I'm buying that. But then if you feel it, it's like, right? So that's the cleanse. And I do love you, by the way.
It's so for the listeners out there, whether you're listening now, next week, or a month, or a year, whenever you're listening to this particular episode, you really want to pass it on, because the book has, and you know what, I have to say, I love the way you write, because, and I probably have said this many times before, you can relate to it, and the examples that you give are so right on. You can relate to that particular person and their circumstance, and that helps you better understand what your goal of teaching is, and people can now implement what you're, in a more truthful way, because they're understanding it more completely. So I have to say that I just love the way you write. It's
Thank you.
And I believe you've been a writer since you came on Earth, and that's been the trajectory of your journey.
Well, appreciate that. Yeah, it does help to have examples for sure. I mean, spiritual laws, you're like, oh yeah, spiritual laws. Yeah, I'm a spiritual being. Okay, now what the heck does that mean? Right.
Right.
Okay, now okay, here's an example of somebody who's out of alignment with the spiritual law of attraction, right, or something. And here's what it looks like, and here's what it sounds like, and here's where the behavior is, and now here's how to line up. So yeah, you need those. I need those examples to be able to.
Yes.
To be able to align.
And so,
yeah.
Absolutely. So off we are now to our second break. Everyone, stay with us. Don't go anywhere. We'll be back in a moment.
Take a journey to a place of the divine love within with Deborah Beauvais on the Love by Intuition Show, Monday through Friday at 6 p.m. and 6 a.m. Eastern. Our message is love in the purest form. The light within us all is a guide to recall our beginning, to learn to love self and humankind, and to feel the higher power of our own divinity. To attract love, one needs to be love. Come join us and step into this glorious vibration called love.
Delight your kids with an enchanting journey by reading the Paper Doll Kids children's book by Deborah Beauvais and Janine Sullivan. There's even a catchy tune, Kids for Love Song, produced by Bob Sherwood and sung by kids just like yours. The story weaves around 7 paper dolls flying around the world doing good deeds as they bring important attention to our endangered animal friends. There's even a magical ring with a universal message. Kids become interested in service projects, action through compassion, and planting seeds that nurture positive change. The Paper Doll Kids and Kids for Love Song are a production of the Kids for Love Project. Get the book now on Amazon Kindle and the song on CD Baby or iTunes.
Are miracles real? Can you move from mayhem to miracles? 30 prominent authors say yes as they share their high fives and down lows of challenges, abuse, addiction, and love. Experience hope, the magic elixir of miracles, through the personal stories of New York Times best-selling authors James Redfield, Dr. Bernie Siegel, Sister Jenna, Reverend Temple Hayes, and many more. If you like bestsellers, chaos to clarity, and crappy to happy, you'll love crying and laughing through mayhem to miracles. Sacred stories of transformational hope. Available now on Amazon and in bookstores worldwide.
It's a child's job to play, to learn, and to have fun. It's an adult's job to keep them safe. Did you know that 1 in 4 girls and 1 in 6 boys will be sexually abused before the age of 18? Every day, families enter the Children's Advocacy Center because a child's courage to tell someone what happened to them. Keeping our children safe starts with a conversation. This is Michelle Aranger, Executive Director of the Children's Advocacy Center. Learn more on how to keep your child safe. Visit cacofbc.org. This message made possible by the Fall River Rotary Club.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.
There is still time to call in. But hurry. The number is 833-220-1200. Again, 833-220-1200. One of the things that I also love, Sherianna, is that you have come to a place knowing that each person that does the cleanse and follows, their emotions and everything that you teach in the book, that when we're doing that, we're healing the world as well. We're healing the earth. We're healing other humans. Can you talk about that for a bit?
Yeah, that's where this book is perhaps a little different than other manifesting books or even other books that I've written, and that I was really encouraged and guided to, once the rays of light were infused into the system, the cleanse, then it was, okay, then you offer this to the planet. And so I almost feel like we're every time you move through a cleanse, you're putting it into Mother Earth so that everybody on this planet can experience these beautiful rays of light. And like you said, these rays of light already exist. They've always existed. I just think that we didn't know how to connect with them necessarily. We saw them as separate, or that, some people sort of had these abilities and other people didn't. And I think now we're recognizing that everybody has these abilities in terms of intuition, in terms of moving energy, in terms of healing, that, maybe some have more experience than others or more trust than others. But yeah, a big part of the cleanse is making sure that we take a moment, and anybody else on this planet. So for example, if I'm doing a cleanse, and let's say I'm doing a cleanse for purpose, right? I believe there's a cleanse in there for purpose. And I don't remember where it's lined up, but so I'm doing that, and I'm moving the emotions around, okay, what's it like to feel like I'm not connected to my purpose, right? Because that's an experience in itself, when I'm not connected to my purpose, or when I don't know what my purpose is, or I don't know how to connect with my purpose, or whatever that may be, or I feel that there's too many obstacles. That makes me feel, and really kind of moving the emotions around that. What emotions in you are clogged, blocked, looking to come up, to be healed, when I've used the term cleanse, to be transformed. As you move those emotions, what's going to happen is energy starts to move, and now intuition's going to go up. Wisdom is going to come in automatically. Your thoughts are going to shift automatically. That's why I tell people, stop focusing on your thoughts for manifesting. It's unnecessary. It's like an extra step. It's like taking an extra step that you don't need to take, okay? Because once you start processing your emotions and feeling, they will change the thoughts for you automatically. And they will be better than you ever imagined in terms of, okay, what do I focus on? Where's my attention? So then by the end of that cleanse, you're moving through the rays of light. You're moving into surrender and ease and that I am space. And when you really fill yourself up, you have no problem. You have no problem making an offering that everybody on this planet, because what it is you start to embody this idea of true abundance, which means I have an infinite supply of these frequencies. So why wouldn't I just let it move through me like a wellspring? So all everywhere. And I think I look at the rays as this is our opportunity to create the life that we all desire. And I think it's peace, Deborah. I think everyone just wants to feel a sense of
agree.
Peace.
Yes, I agree. I so agree. What do you see how do you see the world and where it's going?
Oh boy, Deborah.
Yeah, I know. It's
huge. I think, well, there's a lot of positives in that people are really open to this stuff. I mean, you probably see that now in terms of I'm having conversations about energy and emotions and healing and all of that with people that I never thought I would have conversations. They were like just so skeptical, not open, and now being open and willing to have these higher consciousness conversations, and that gives me hope. And it gives me hope when I see someone go through the process, and I do this every day, so it's not just I write about it. Every day I'm working with clients or doing group work, and when I see the difference in their perspective and the peacefulness, and then the choices that they make afterward, and the direction that they head in, and where they're putting their attention, it really gives me hope, because I think, wow, if we could all just feel our emotions and move our energy in action and detach from some of this manifesting stuff, because it's confusing. It's not bad or wrong. It's confusing when we focus first, right? And I think it's unnecessary. If we can move your energy and then allow, and then some people are going to need help with that, and that's why they call someone like me or you, Deborah, or somebody else that does, they get that support. But really, it's like training wheels. Eventually you take those training wheels off, and you really start to learn how to process your emotions, and that gives me hope. So in terms of where's the world going, I'm looking to these rays. My hope is everybody starts to, as many people as possible, start to cleanse, connect to the light, connect to these sources. Don't pay attention to what you're going to make yourself crazy if you look at all the instability that's out there. I think we need a huge instability cleanse, right? In terms of,
agreed.
And just if everybody just cleanse instability in ourselves, right? We could really move this and focus on the orange ray of light that's coming in now, because there's causes and effects. So by the way, I was guided. So there's 13 spiritual laws, and then I was guided, Deborah, to pair a ray of light with each law. So it's so funny, like people will say to me, what do you think of the law of attraction? First thing that pops into my mind is, it's the yellow ray.
Right.
I think, well, that's the yellow ray of light, of course, right? And because that's how I'm trained now, like I don't even think of the words anymore. I just think, it's the yellow ray of light. So if everybody could clear instability and then really connect with the orange ray of light, orange goes into subconscious. Orange is about deep soul subconscious healing. It's got frequencies that can heal on that level. Take that in. Because this goes way back. This instability, and start to clear it. And then I think on the other side of instability is ability, meaning we haven't even scratched the surface of what we're capable of. And we're going to look back one day. I probably won't be on the physical planet anymore, but hopefully I'll be still watching. And we're going to say, oh, my gosh, look at us. We thought we knew everything. We knew nothing, right?
Well, that's usually what you think. You come to a place and say, okay, all this knowledge and wisdom, what do I really know? Yes. But that is how we transcend from where we are, is doing exactly what you speak of. And it all is about not looking to the outside for answers, but looking to the inside. And we all carry different emotions. First when I heard the hate, I wouldn't be holding hate or bitterness, but it's generational as well. And so we have to acknowledge what we have inside and clear that to a place where other people are feeling it, and then they will pass that feeling on to others and start doing their own inner work. And I agree with you. I think even though it appears to be that we've taken 20 steps back, I believe that we've grown in leaps and bounds as far as, understanding higher consciousness or at least having conversations about it, and that we were all created from the same source. And I think the more we do talk about these things, just like anything else. I mean, I always say, look at the LGBTQ community. Before, we wouldn't even talk about it, and now look how we're elevating and helping people understand that there's oneness and celebrate, all our differences. And so we'll get there. Some people may want to take 40 steps back, but that's their choice. But the majority, I believe, will be open and compassionate, wanting to do good things to save the planet. And with that said, we're out of time.
Yeah, thank you.
Yeah.
This was fun.
But I know you're on the same wave, and I'm in gratitude for you. So I thank you, Sherianna, for all the work, all the writings, all the books, all the steps that you've gone through, all the receivings that you're now implementing in the book. So I thank you for all you're doing as your part in the journey of life here.
Oh, thank you. And I'm happy to be part of the network, and I hope people tune into Just Ask Spirit.
Yes. And yes, and Just Ask Spirit is, remember, it is every Monday, 10 a.m. and 10 p.m. You can pick up the archives on the site, and like I mentioned earlier, you can hear it on everything from iHeart to Spotify to TuneIn, wherever you are. But we have to run. Thank you so much. Go to her site, SheriannaBoyle.com. Buy the book. Buy it as a gift. Energy in action. And until we come together again, au revoir. Much love, Sherianna.
Are you seeking a clearer path to love? Then tune in to the Love by Intuition show next week. All designed to your highest good. To contact Deborah Beauvais, owner of Empowered Connections, call her at 508-226-1723. That's 508-226-1723. Or link on to lovebyintuition.com. Remember, we are all one, and we are all part of the miracle of love.
This is Dream Vision 7 Radio Network, uniting mankind with universal love. Our shows are created from the heart, bringing each listener to a place of divine enlightenment. Breathe, relax, and enjoy. Let life flow.